Hey everyone! Welcome back to English with Claus, your cozy little place for simple English stories that are warm, meaningful, and easy to enjoy. I'm Vin, and I'm so happy you're here with us today.
And I'm Lynn. Today, we have a soft and magical story called The Boy Who Spoke to the Moon, a gentle tale about loneliness, quiet hope, and the strange comfort of feeling heard, even in silence.
This is the story of a boy named Noah. He was 11 years old and lived in a small house at the edge of a quiet town, where the roads were narrow, the nights were still, and the moon always seemed close enough to touch.
Noah was the kind of boy people often forgot to notice. He was not loud, he was not brave in the easy ways. He sat near the window in class, spoke only when asked, and spent most of his time watching things other people never stopped to see.
He watched birds land on telephone wires. He watched leaves race along the sidewalk in autumn wind. He watched the sky change color every evening, from gold to blue to deep velvet black.
At school, Noah was quiet, not because he had nothing to say, but because words often felt too heavy in rooms full of noise.
He had once had a best friend named Eli. But Eli and his family had moved away the year before, leaving behind an empty desk and a silence Noah never quite got used to.
At home, the silence followed him too. His mother worked long hours at the hospital, often coming home tired and late. His father had been gone for nearly a year, working on ships across distant seas.
So most evenings, Noah ate dinner in the quiet kitchen, washed his plate, and climbed the narrow stairs to his room beneath the roof.
His room was small, but it had one thing he loved most, a round window that faced the sky.
Every night, Noah sat by that window and watched the moon rise slowly over the sleeping town.
At first, he only looked at it, white and calm, silent and steady. The moon seemed unlike everything else in his life. It did not rush, it did not leave, it simply appeared.
One cold evening in early winter, Noah pressed his forehead to the glass and whispered, "Hello."
The word slipped out before he could stop it. He almost laughed at himself.
But the next night, he said it again, "Hello, moon."
And the night after that, he stayed a little longer.
Then, without planning to, Noah began to talk.
He told the moon about school, about the math test he nearly understood, about the teacher who spoke too fast, about the loud boys in the back row who always seemed to belong everywhere.
He told the moon how strange it felt to sit in a room full of people and still feel alone.
He told it about Eli, about the treehouse they built one summer, about the promise to write every week, about how the letters stopped after the first month.
He told it about his mother's tired eyes and gentle hands, about the way she still smiled, even when her feet hurt and her voice sounded worn.
He told it about his father too, how he missed the smell of salt on his coat, the sound of his laugh in the hallway, the way the house felt fuller when he was home.
The moon never answered.
Not once.
But every night, it returned.
And somehow, that was enough.
Noah began to feel less alone, not because his life had changed, but because his thoughts no longer stayed trapped inside him.
He gave them somewhere to go.
Somewhere quiet, somewhere safe, somewhere patient.
Soon, Noah told the moon everything.
He told it about the tiny things too. A cracked blue marble he found under his desk. A cat sleeping in the bakery window. A cloud shaped like a ship.
He told it about fear, about hope, about the strange ache of growing up and not knowing what to do with all the feelings no one ever explained.
Winter passed, then spring came softly.
The trees grew green again. The evenings stayed brighter, and Noah began to change in small, almost invisible ways.
He still sat quietly in class, but now he raised his hand sometimes.
He still walked home alone, but he no longer hurried like he was trying to disappear.
He smiled more.
He listened less to the noise around him and more to the steady voice growing inside.
One afternoon, His teacher noticed him staring out the window long after the lesson had ended.
"What do you always look at up there, Noah?" she asked.
Noah hesitated, then he answered honestly, "The moon."
A few students laughed.
But his teacher did not.
She tilted her head and asked, "And what does it say to you?"
Noah looked down at his notebook and said quietly, "It listens."
The room fell silent.
His teacher studied him for a moment, then smiled the kind of smile that asks no more questions than necessary.
The next morning, she gave the class a writing assignment.
"Write a letter," she said, "to someone who listens."
Some students wrote to grandparents. Some wrote to friends. One boy wrote to his dog.
Noah stared at the blank page for a long time.
Then he began.
"Dear Moon," he wrote, "thank you for coming back every night, even when no one else does."
He wrote about quiet rooms and silver light, about loneliness and comfort, about saying small things out loud so they did not become heavy inside him.
He wrote about how being listened to had changed him.
When the letters were finished, his teacher asked if anyone wanted to read.
Noah's heart beat hard against his ribs.
His hands trembled.
Then, slowly, he stood.
His voice was soft at first, almost lost in the room.
But sentence by sentence, it grew stronger.
No one laughed this time.
No one whispered.
When he finished, the classroom sat in silence.
Then a girl near the front raised her hand and said, "I talk to the stars when I can't sleep."
A boy by the door shrugged and said, "I talk to my dog when I'm sad."
Another said, "I talk to the rain."
And just like that, the room changed.
Not loudly, not all at once.
But something gentle opened.
Noah was not the only one speaking into silence.
He was not the only one hoping something quiet might listen.
After that, things became softer.
A little easier.
The girl who spoke to the stars began sitting beside Noah at lunch.
The boy by the door asked him to join a game after school.
Noah still spoke to the moon every night.
But now he had more to tell it.
He told it about laughter at lunch, about new friends, about the feeling of not disappearing in a room anymore.
And on the nights when sadness returned, as sadness sometimes does, the moon was still there.
Pale, steady, patient.
Listening.
Years later, Noah would grow older, taller, louder. His world would widen, his days would fill.
But some nights, he would still pause, look up, and smile at the moon.
Not because he was lonely.
But because he remembered the boy at the window.
The quiet room.
The silver light.
And the gentle truth that sometimes, the kindest comfort in the world is not being answered.
Sometimes, it is simply being heard.